Denmark surprised me a lot. I originally came here for a really weird reason, but apart from that, I wanted to really travel and experience the country.
Oh, the smell of cow shit.
So I was expecting cozy cafes, some beautiful wild outdoor spaces, and while I did get that, I also got a bunch of surprises. And there was some things that kind of messed up my travels. Some rules that I did not expect.
No, I'm going.
And the funny thing is I've been to the Nordics quite a few times now. And so when I went to Denmark, I wasn't expecting so much to be different. But actually it's got its own little flavor. So I was surprised. And that's exactly what I'm going to share with you today. Starting with something that made me do a double take. In some cities like Aarhus, they actually have the pedestrian signs that are Vikings. So of course, this is a wink to their Viking heritage. But I was also really curious about this, so I did some digging, and I also learned that when something breaks in one of these pedestrian lights, they actually just replace it with this. I think it's pretty unique. I think there's only 2 other cities that I've been to that have unique pedestrian lights. So of course, Berlin, and most recently Vienna. There's actually a lot of different ones there. So now one of the most surprising ones for me, it's called the Cold Hawaii, because it is a mecca for surfers. So of course the waters are really cold. But I learned this when I was in North Jutland, which is like wild, gorgeous Denmark, because my partner, he surfs, and I actually wanted to gift him a surfing trip. But I wasn't sure if he could handle the cold, to be honest, because it's really cold. But apparently the swells can be really good. Now, if you know Scandinavia, you will know that they love trolls. Some of the countries are more privy to them than others, but Denmark, it has trolls in its blood? No, in its wild? I don't know. But basically, there's a famous Danish artist, Thomas Dambo, who builds these massive troll sculptures out of recycled wood, trash. And so of course, in the first few days when I arrived in Copenhagen, I saw that there was one that was really close by. It was actually in the city. So I went on a little side quest to go and find this troll, and it was actually in a place where we will talk about later in the video that you're not supposed to really film, but they allowed me. Anyways, you'll see later. But the really cool thing about this isn't just that it's like recycled wood to make these massive pieces of art. It's that there are trolls all over Denmark, and he's actually made a map. So if you really wanted to, you could go and have like a little troll treasure hunt if you wanted. This was one of my ideas. I just didn't have enough time last time I was there. So now I've been thinking about it, and I would love to like take a van and go explore there. So if you love being out in nature and doing these kinds of like outdoor scavenger hunts, you would probably love this. If you love history and Vikings, Denmark will be your place. I was totally not expecting how accessible it would be to visit Viking burial sites and learn about the Vikings. One of the most famous spots is Lindholm Høje? I don't know. I don't speak Danish, okay? I'm doing my best here. This is one of the most famous burial sites that Denmark has. And so, of course, I had to go visit it. And when I was walking up, I just kept thinking, if I can go to the museum, that would be great. The museum was actually closed the day I was there, and it was the only day I could see it. So I thought, oh shoot, I can't see the burial site, but I could. There was public access. So I just opened up the gate and then kind of go through, and I did my own little tour learning about it. And it was interesting to see like the different sizes of the mounds. And I was really curious about why some of the mounds were bigger than others, or like popping out more. And what I learned was that they were actually for warriors. Now, if you do go and visit, don't do what this guy was doing. I don't know why these people thought this was a good idea. It's an ancient burial site. You should be respecting it. If you've done any research about visiting Denmark, you've probably run into Cristiania. the self-declared free state. They have their own rules and their own governance to a certain extent, from what I understand. Anyways, I was curious about how this even came to fruition. In the 1970s, people just started to occupy these abandoned military barracks. And so they just started living there. They created their own community. They have a lot of art, murals, some tasty food. It's a different vibe. I wouldn't say it's for everybody, and I think you have to have an open mind and keep your wits about you, of course. And like I mentioned earlier, they don't appreciate photos or videos. There was like one little exception where the troll was. There was like a guy, he was sitting on this massive chair. It looked like one of those chairs that lifeguards sit on at the beach. He was sitting on it and he was purposely watching people to see if they were taking photos and videos. And like we made eye contact and he saw me take my phone out and I like gestured to him and he was like, okay. It's a controversial area, so keep that in mind if you do go visit. Yeah. Leave it at that. Now, I have a confession to make, and I'm a little bit embarrassed, especially because a few months ago I cycled across the Netherlands. When I was in Denmark, I did not get on a bike. And the reason I'm embarrassed is because it's literally built for bikes. You're going around the major cities and there's bikes everywhere. It's a means of transport. It's like an everyday thing, and I'm pretty sure everybody living in the country owns a bike. But I was too nervous to get on one because I knew that there was so many different rules and this special etiquette. I really just didn't want to mess up with the flow of things because I saw that there was like fast lanes, slow lanes, and nobody wore a helmet. And I'm like, Safety Sam. I know my name's Natasha, but I'm like Safety Sam. And I like to wear a helmet. I've only got one brain. I don't want to lose it, especially because I'm a little bit clumsy sometimes. So if I just fall over. I didn't get on a bike, but next time I go, I promise you I will. A fun fact that I learned was that over 50% of people in Copenhagen commute with a bike instead of cars. Pretty cool. At the beginning of the video, I explained that I was visiting Denmark for one very weird and particular reason. And that was to reach its highest point. Because I'm doing this project, we reach the highest point in every European country. And so Denmark, as you might or might not know, is very flat. We're not talking about the greater kingdom of Denmark with Greenland and Faroe Islands. Speaking of the kingdom of Denmark, once we get to 100,000 subs, we're gonna go and take on Greenland's highest peak. So subscribe, friends. Talking about just Denmark. I thought it was gonna be super straightforward. Of course, it wasn't. And why was that, you might ask? Well, because the bus that I was supposed to take to the area never showed up. Why didn't the bus show up, even though the schedule was super clear? I was on time. Well, because I didn't request it. I didn't know that in certain parts of Denmark, you have to specifically request a bus to come. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it does make sense because if you're in one of these areas that's not very busy, there's not a lot of demand for some of these routes, it's just better. It's more efficient this way, right? I didn't know this, so I ended up getting a really expensive taxi to just outside the peak. There's a 40 euro taxi ride, 12 minutes. It's kind of funny, on these peaks, nothing ever seems to go to a plan. There's always one little thing. Sometimes it's my fault. Probably most of the time. Anyways, just so you know, just check to see if you're in less busy or less populated areas, you might need to request a bus. If we zoom out a little bit and also include trains, public transit in the country is really good. It's very well connected. I was able to go all the way from the south to the north without renting a car, which in the long run saves me on budget, which means I can get to more of these peaks. So it's awesome. You can travel around without an issue. I will say there are some areas that you can't really get to without a vehicle. So just keep that in mind when you're planning your trip. Now, an interesting topic for Denmark is wild camping. Little caveat here, I have not actually gone wild camping yet, but I'm planning it for future trips. And Denmark surprised me quite a bit because they don't have the same kind of freedom to roam or alleemansretten as they do in other Nordic countries. If I'm just comparing my experiences and my knowledge of Denmark to Norway, Sweden, and Finland specifically, I would say Denmark has the most strict wild camping and freedom to roam rules. It does kind of make sense because it's a small country and most of it is private land. So it's kind of counterintuitive to alleemansretten, which is free public access, right? Well, you cannot free camp everywhere. They have designated areas where you can do that. And there's a lot of rules around where you can go with your van, if you're sleeping in it, and strict rules around fires as well. The entire time I was there, I might have had only 1 or 2 meals out, and that's because it was over my budget to eat out. I was shocked the first time I went for breakfast. I was actually on my way to catch a bus to the north, and so I quickly needed breakfast, and I spent 18 euros on a pastry, which was delicious by the way, and a coffee. 18 euros! Should have been like plated in gold. Anyways, it was delicious. But after that, I just had to suck it up and have muesli and sandwiches. I did eat out a few more times in the northern part of Denmark, and those were much more manageable and really tasty. I'm also embarrassed to admit that I didn't realize that Carlsberg was from Denmark. Sorry, I apologize to all of the beer lovers out there. I did not know. So the one day, I was on my mission to get to the highest peak, and it started pouring rain, like absolutely pissing it down. But I was happy as a clam. I had my rain jacket on, I was just walking, I was cozy, I knew exactly where I was going. I was walking along the side of the road because I couldn't take a taxi all the way there. That'd be kind of like cheating, right? And anyways, this couple all of a sudden slowed their car down and stopped right next to me. I was like, oh God, what is gonna happen? All these things started racing through my brain because I've had some crazy experiences while I'm traveling.
No, I'm going to Ireland. Thank you.
And the guy just asked, hi, do you want a ride? And I was just like, wow. Sometimes I'm in a country, I've got my thumb out, big smile, like, come on, I need help, I'm hitchhiking. Nothing. Here, they offered it. They were just a sweet older couple just trying to help this weirdo who's walking in the rain.
Oh, the smell of cow shit.
That was just really sweet. That just left a really warm feeling in my heart. We are now going to climb up this 12-meter something tower. It is not the natural highest point in Denmark. Now finally, I won't go too deep into this because I made a whole video about it, but I think it's super hilarious and very ironic that there's this huge debate around the highest point. To put it in perspective, there's a huge debate among many of the highest points in Europe, like Mont Blanc. Is it really France's? Is it really Italy's? Well, they're just gonna call it both of theirs. But the funny thing about Denmark is they don't necessarily have that. It's more the highest point has changed so many times over history. So I just find this hilarious because it's so small. If it was like a 4,000 meter peak or even like 2,000, sure, have this discussion, this debate, but like 170 meters? Pfft, who cares? Well, obviously the Danes care. If you want to check it out, I'll leave the video in the description for you. And I hope you find your own adventures. Live your adventure. This is my new merch. Can you see it? Can you see it? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how easy is it to travel around Denmark? I would say an 8. Super simple, straightforward, easy. And I think there's tons of things to do no matter what you like. Whether you're more of a city person, you love the outdoors, there's a great balance for sure. So If you're going with like a partner, group of friends, you'll find something. Thanks so much for watching, and yeah, get out there. The world is beautiful.